Nam mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Nam mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Nam mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Nam mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is now 10:33 a.m. California time. Today is Tuesday, June 23rd, 2020. After the 6th weekly memorial ceremony for the spirit of Sir Phan Văn Lời, I like to continue to preach the Diamond Sutra as usual. I like to invite all overseas Buddhist followers and in the country to listen to the preaching of the Diamond Sutra. Ladies and gentlemen, Diamond Sutra is a Buddhist sutra that preached for the Arhat. Elder Dubode was an Arhat who specializes in practicing emptiness to rid the delusional mind and retained in the true mind like a Bodhisattva. Many listeners have found this sutra conflicting with other sutras in almsgiving, such as donating to the poor, offering to the monks, and making Buddha statues. In this sutra, the Buddha taught us to rid the delusional mind and to retain the true mind by answering the questions of the elder Dubode. There are Buddhist followers who are not my disciples, but who have listened to my Dharma talks over 10 years and knows that the Buddha preached Dharma for many types of listeners, from the lower levels to the higher levels. He preached his Dharma based on the problem of the sentient beings. In this Diamond Sutra preaching, I will continue to answer questions from listeners from previous sessions. At the same time, I will read another section of the sutra and preach about it. Some of the listeners listening to the section of the Buddha asked Elder Dubode if he saw the Buddha because of the physical body of the Buddha sitting in front of him or not. The elder said no, because according to the Buddha's teaching, anything holds a form is just an illusion. Whoever sees the Buddha sitting in front of them is not the true Buddha. Then that person truly saw Tathagata. There were some Buddhist followers who sent me emails to question about this section. For a long time, they have been practicing almsgiving and creating doctrine predestines. They said according to the Earth Store Sutra, which was preached by the Buddha during 4 days in heaven for his mother, Queen Maya. The sutra said if the king, the Brahmin, the wealthy merchant, the male and female saw the Buddha statue that damaged and vowed to repair it, then the blessing is immeasurable. The Buddha did not mention that things with forms are delusional. The elder Dubode was born during the Buddha's time and saw the Buddha in flesh and bone, but still said that he did not see the Tathagata. These Buddhist followers want to know where the merit comes from. Seeing the Buddha in flesh and bone, but the Buddha still said that was all fake. He said, whoever saw the Buddha then did not see the Tathagata. These people said the Buddha conflicted with his preaching about the merit from casting the Buddha statue. There is no benefit in casting the Buddha statue because the flesh and bone Buddha was also fake. Let me read the email and then I will explain. There were 3 to 4 emails that had the same questions. Therefore, I will summarize them into one email. Actually, let me read one of the emails that has the most specific questions. After that, I will preach more about the Diamond Sutra. Dear Master, I have been following your preaching about the Diamond Sutra up to a section of the Buddha, asking Elder Dubode if it was because of his physical body, so he saw Tathagata or not. Elder Dubode said it was not because according to the Buddha, anything that's holding a physical form is all an illusion. Seeing the Buddha but not the Buddha, that is the Buddha. I listened to this section and I have a question. Please spend some of your time talking in more detail so I can understand better. The Earth Store Sutra stated that the merit offering the Buddha statue is immeasurable. The sins of destroying the Buddha statue is also unspeakable. The Buddha was born by King Sudahan and Queen Maya 2,600 years ago. The Buddha taught Elder Dubode if seeing the 32 good marks and 80 beauties and assume to see the Buddha. That is not seeing the Buddha because the Buddha said anything that holds a form, then it is all an illusion. I really doubt the merit of casting the Buddha statue that mentioned in the Earth Store Sutra is immeasurable, and destroying Buddha statue is one of the 5 unrepentant sins. Spending money to cast a Buddha statue, which was an illusion, then receive the immeasurable merit. Destroying a Buddhist statue, which is also just an illusion, then get punished in the uninterpreted hell. The Buddha preached the sutra with confliction. We are very thankful if you can spend a little time explaining this conflict. In the old days, when I first learned about the Diamond Sutra, I compared it to other sutras because it was very confusing and conflicting. To explain this conflict, I have to use the images of your parents. As your parents passed away and you realized that their bodies formed by the 4 essential elements from your grandparents were illusional based on the spirit of the Diamond Sutra. After cremation, their urns prove that dirt will return to dirt. Their urns are an illusion. If they were buried in the cemetery, their graves or their last resting place are also an illusion. Let me give you an example. In the family of 10 children, the one that pious will make a shrine and place their parents' images on to pay respect. If the parents were cremated, they will place the urns on the shrine so they can pay their respects, even though the urn is just an illusion. If the parents were buried, they would come visit the graves in the cemetery from time to time. Because of their respectful actions, people will call them as a filial children. If there are some children, after listening to the Diamond Sutra and disassemble the shrine, they then send the urn to the temple. It costs money to leave the urn in the temple. The relatives have to pay the maintenance fee, and some of the temples even charge a very hefty fee. The children love their parents, so they will budget their finance to pay for the maintenance fee. In the long run, these fees adds up, and it will not be cheap at all. Most of the temple will make the descendants scatter remains after 3 years. I have plenty of experience about this because I perform many funeral ceremonies. When the filial children send their parents' pictures to the temple, whatever price is required by the epitaph, the children will have to pay upfront because of their love for the deceased parents. Most of the temples only allow the pictures with a very small size, like a driver's license or the size of a passport pictures, so it doesn't take too much space in the shrine. Some of the temples even save the images in the computers to do a slideshow. At my temple, we have tens of thousands of images, size 4x6, and is all free of charge. The children can leave their parents' pictures in the shrine as long as they want. If they want to donate money for maintenance, that would be great, but if not, that is still okay. They can leave their parents' urn as long as they want. To know if the children are filial or not, we just need to observe the incense holder. At the beginning, they dust and wipe the holder free of ash. They use the incense roller instead of the incense stick because they worry that the temple will forget to offer the incense to their parents. The incense roller burns for 24 hours and they will come back the next day to light the next one. These children have strong bonds with their parents. There are some children, as soon as their parents' funerals are over, they would end the mourning tradition immediately instead of waiting for a year or two. They will burn the mourning symbols at the cemetery or at the crematory instead of wearing it to show their respect. In Vietnamese tradition, these children are unfilial. They don't respect their parents' images because they don't respect their parents back then. In the old days, Vietnamese males and females all bind their hairs into the bun and leave their fingernails very long. When I was still a novice monk, I saw many old laymen who attended the ceremony at the temple with their hair binding up like a garlic bulb and very long fingernails. I asked Venerable Huệ Thân why these laymen did that for. He said the hair and the teeth are gifts from ancestors. These people, because they really respect their parents, so they refuse to cut their hair and fingernails to show their respect. That was one of many ways the old people show their respects to their parents. Now back to the problem of having filial children and having unfilial children who disrespect their parents' pictures. The filial children who I interact with always lower their self-ego below their parents. They never put their business achievements more than their parents, which means that their form of selfness and forms of others are less than the form of sentient being. The form of sentient being is their parents. The form of giving and receivings are their brothers in the family. So when I saw these children at the funeral ceremony, I immediately asked why they do not want to wear their mourning symbols. They told me that it is strange to wear the mourning symbols. I told them it is only a piece of cloth. They wore mourning symbols but immediately took them off or burned them as soon as they arrived at the funeral home. These children attend the first memorial ceremony on the 7th day after death. But on the second memorial ceremony, on the 14th day after death, I did not see them anymore. I then asked around and was told that these children were very successful than their parents. Secondly, they graduated with higher degrees than their parents. Thirdly, when their parents were still alive, they did not respect their parents. They dwell on the form of others and think that their parents only had a high school diploma, while other parents have an engineering degree. In their minds, they think that they were better than their parents and lost their merit. Their parents are the one who gave them life and pinched everything to save money to raise them. Their father wouldn't fuel on gas stations that charged $3 a gallon, but drove 10 miles to fuel at a different gas station to save 20 cents a gallon. Their father would drive 10 miles to save $2 to pay for their education, yet they still did not respect their parents. They would not let you know how big their self-ego were. The Diamond Sutra is a sutra of chiseling away the self-ego. If they don't respect their parents, then don't respect them to respect their brothers and sisters. If they don't respect their own parents, then don't expect them to respect their parents-in-laws. If these people have a good relationship with you because they are using you or wanting something from you, at the temple, I would not accept the money from these unfilial children. Their parents went through pain and suffering to give them birth and to raise them, and yet they still cannot respect their parents. If they offer a donation to my temple, something is not quite right. In the old days, when I was in my teenage years, I also had the disrespectful thought that when I pass my bachelorate degree, while the former Venerable Gin Chao just finished elementary school, I started to despise Venerable Gin Chao and his teaching. Venerable Gin Chao was my biological father, and I no longer listened to his teachings. I then passed with my second bachelorate degree, and I further despised Venerable Gin Chao to another level. I went to college and I despised Venerable Gin Chao even more, although I did not say it when I saw him. As time went by, when I was 50 years old, I realized my intellect and the sacrifice of life and the experience could not be compared to my parents. It was not until I was 50 years old I realized all the things I surpassed my parents, and I thought that I was better, but I could never be as good as my parents. It was not possible to wear the shirt over your head. The parents know everything, but they do not speak up. There are young people who are good at speaking English better than their parents who were born in Vietnam. Parents born in Vietnam are good at other things, but the language department is not as good as the ones who were born in the US. The educational degree of the Republic of Vietnam are different from the United States, but the experience of our parents over decades are enormous. Those who have despised their parents are losing their merits because their self-ego is much higher. If their self-ego is smaller, everywhere they go, people will feel more comfortable around them because if they make mistakes, they can easily accept their mistakes and apologize. People who have higher education and social status, their self-ego increases 100-fold. results. From there, they likely create more injustice and bad karma than good karma. For example, a pedestrian and a bicycle create less bad karma. The pedestrian creates less bad karma than the bicyclist. Have you ever seen a bicyclist accidentally kill someone in an accident? The bicyclists can hurt small toddlers and the elderly, but the bicyclists will not kill anyone in an accident. The motorcyclists already created more bad karma than the bicyclists. The driver of a small four-wheel creates less karma than the driver of a semi-truck. However, these cannot be used to determine if they have merit or not. The person who doesn't dwell on the deluded form and lower their ego will have more merit. Even though his parents have passed away, because of respect for his parents, he forever considers his parents are always more superior than himself. He respects the images of his parents remains, their final resting place, and his parents' death anniversary. The merit he receives is not from worshipping the illusional images of his parents, but from detaching his form of selfness. The more self-ego he breaks, the more blessing he will receive. Blessing does not come from offering statues. The Buddha was born to be a king. While prostrating him or casting his statue, will it earn merit? When the Buddha was still alive, there was only one statue of him made by King Udian. King Udian was one of the 16 kings in India. He was the last king who took refuge with the Buddha. After 1 week, he went to the Vajra garden to prostrate the Buddha and listen to his Dharma talk. The monk told him that the Buddha already went to heaven to preach for his mother, Queen Maya. Varnava Ananda did not attain arhat, so he did not have magical powers. Every day, the Buddha uses his magical powers to bring Varnava Ananda to heaven and listen to the Dharma talks to the devas. After that, Varnava Ananda would return to the Vihara garden and repeat the Buddha's preaching for the Sangha in this world. Varnava Ananda noticed King Udian was sad because he took refuge with the Buddha but could not see the Buddha after a week. The king wanted to use the arga wood for the artist to carve the Buddha statue for him to lessen his memory of the Buddha. The next morning, when Varnava Ananda went to seventh heaven to listen to the Buddha's preaching, he told the Buddha that King Udian, who recently took refuge with the Buddha, did not receive any teaching from the Buddha for the next 3 months, and wanted to carve a statue because he sincerely missed the Buddha. The Buddha granted King Udian's wish. A great sculptor was immediately summoned to start to carve the statue. Arhat Mukgilian was the #1 disciple who had powerful magical powers, turned himself into the Buddha for the sculptors to carve the Buddha's statue. The sculptor made an arga wood sculpture of the Buddha placed in the Vihara garden while the Buddha was in heaven. When Buddha returned after 3 months in heaven, he saw the statue of himself sitting at the same place he often preached Dharma and rest. He called for the assembly to gather together for the first time after 3 months. He said for the past 3 months he went to heaven to preach Dharma for his mother and the Devas to fulfill a duty of a filial son. The wooden statue of him also benefits sentient beings a lot. He told Varnamo Danan after his death, "Please tell the righteous people who did not meet the Buddha but meet his statues, but had the same respect as he was still alive, then they would receive the same merit as seeing the Buddha when he was still alive." There are people who wanted to know that the Buddha was born by King Sudahan and Queen Maya in flesh and bone, and the elder Dubode sat right across from the Buddha to look at the Buddha, but the Buddha said Elder Dubode saw an illusion and not the real Buddha. Why would the Buddha say if anyone who prostrated to the Buddha, then he would be blessed with merit? If someone respects the Buddha statue, even though he said it was an illusion, but still be blessed? The Buddha was the crown prince and would become a Dharma wheel turning king. He married the most beautiful wife and gave birth to the smallest child. He used to have the full desires of the 5 indulgences. He owned many different types of palaces for winter, spring, fall, and summer. There were servants who were ready to serve him around the clock. He was not afraid to leave the luxurious life behind, to live in the forest alone without a servant nor an assistant. For 6 years he slept under the tree and ate a sesame seed or a grain of rice a day. In the end, he realized if he kept practicing ascetic, he would die before he would become enlightenment. He finally accepted a bowl of milk from a cowgirl and meditated 49 days under the Bodhi tree. The day the Buddha attained enlightenment, he exclaimed this: "All sentient beings have Buddhist nature, but they don't realize it." The difference between Buddhism and other religions is the equal statue between the leader and the worshippers. All other religions have their followers kneel at the leader's feet. Only the Buddha said that he was the Buddha, and all sentient beings are the Buddha will become. All beings are blessed with the Tathagata wisdom, but were covered because of greed, anger, jealousy, and lust. One day they can control their greed, anger, jealousy, and lust, and reveal their eyes of wisdom to recognize their Buddha's nature. A king who left his luxurious life to practice ascetic life in the jungle with wild animals was enough for us to admire his sacrification and his morals. Without his presence in this world, we would never know the precepts of no killing. The human used to believe in the concept of animals are human nutrients. The Buddha declared that was not true. Animals was never human nutrients. It was all about the strong surviving by killing the weak. Humans use their strength to suppress the animals. There are no animals born to feed the humans. The humans and the animals all have Buddha's nature, but the difference is the karma from the past and the self-ego. When the Buddha walked the first 7 steps after he was born, and he said, "In the heavens above and heavens beneath, the ego is the only one." He also said that all sentient beings have Buddha's nature. He was the first one that recognized the equal level in all sentient beings. There is no difference in social status as long as the tears of the rich and the poor are all salty, and the blood of the black, yellow, red, or white people are all red. As you can see in the Sutra, a person who brings happiness for the sentient beings was born, then all the birds, animal, fishes, all sing in happiness because they all benefit from the Buddha. 1,000,000 Buddhist followers can live 100 years. They can eat many lives if they don't hold the non-killing precepts. The second precept is not stealing. The third is adultery. The fourth is no telling lies. And the fifth was not consuming intoxic substances. These are the 5 precepts established by the Buddha when he became enlightened. These precepts hold the Buddhist followers not to be born in the 3 devils' paths. If they reincarnate, then they can be born as humans. There is no one given the merit or the sins. Therefore, in the Song of Enlightenment, Sir Nguyễn Các said that there was no one to reward the blessing or punish the sins. What is the sin? What is the blessing? Most bearing them are 2 heavenly burdens. Who punishes the sin? Who is responsible? He was the enlightened person. He saw the Buddha's nature and knew all things are delusional. Sir Nguyễn Các composed a wonderful verse. One day when I am finished preaching the Diamond Sutra, I will preach the Song of Enlightenment. You find his verse were one of the greatest. What is the sin? What is the blessing? Most bearing them as 2 heavy burdens. Who punished the sin? Who is responsible? I would answer to Venerable Nguyễn Các sins because ungrateful to the parents who gave birth and raised us. The Buddha was the crown prince who gave up his throne and golden place to find a way to escape samsara in order to help the sentient beings go to a higher realm from a lower realm. He gave up all the sensational pleasures in the world, which none of us could do. Yet we criticize the Buddha. If someone who was a king and left his throne and golden palace behind to live and practice ascetic until he found the true wisdom, he then disrespect the Buddha, then he still has a big self-ego. Some people couldn't do what Buddha did. They were not kings. They could not leave their wives and children behind. They couldn't give up their assets to live in the jungle. Yet they still insult Buddhist action while they didn't do anything to benefit the sentient beings. Ever since they were born, all they did was cause a burden to society and made their parents sad. The sin they created was because of unfeeling to their parents and teachers. Everywhere they go, they will make bad karma whether they smash Buddhist statues or not. These people will not find their happiness because they have a very big ego.
Nam mô